right, welcome to this episode of Ran Out of Talent. Today I got Greg Gerton and Marshall Scary with me.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
All right, well, it's been a couple of months. We got a lot of results to cover. Wanted to cover the Nitro Series a little bit, but no results have been posted. Good racing. North Branch was a bummer. Half the mains got rained out, but a bit of good racing at full throttle. A little bit disappointed with the death triple, but whatever. So we'll go right into the SSES results for Starbuck. That was some pretty good racing there. Julia Van Dalen crushed in Sportsman. Dylan Grovem beat the old man, Aaron, for second place. And then Luann fourth. Max Wilson fifth. Karen DeGrave sixth. Grovem family has been keeping the Sportsman class afloat.
How long until they get bumped to upper classes?
Aaron wants to do stock buggy next year.
Good.
Dylan seemed okay. We needed a short course class in Duluth, so I'm like, hey Dylan, run your SCB, and I won't charge you, because it was a mixed short course class in Duluth a couple weeks ago, and he was humming and hawing like he didn't want to do it, like he's a little nervous. He goes out there, and the only one faster than him is a 4x4 SCT, you know.
Yep.
So I don't know which direction he's going to go, but his talent level is definitely going up.
Good.
And so is Luann's. Luann's just a hair behind those guys, but her level is going up.
Yeah, they're fun to see at the track, too. They're super nice, and they're having fun with it, and we're seeing them progress, so that's really good to see.
Yep.
It's odd that I think last year, didn't we have like almost 10 sportsmen?
0 to 10.
Well,
Widely variable.
Yeah, it was depending on the track. Next for Starbuck, we had the Blinky stock buggy A mains. I'm happy I actually made it. But if there's some talent in the B main. Talon Gons won the B main, followed by Jeff Brewstead and Kelly Roberts bringing up third. So pretty good race in the B main. Every year I'm at Starbuck, I have to pick and choose my battles. This year I got earlier start times and more efficient, running times, but I was not able to do qual points. And I got hurt severely by it. I would have been about 6th place in the A if we would have done qual points. I barely backed in at like 9th. And that's where I ended up. I finally got a handle on the car in the 3rd A main, which my dad beat me overall, but at the 3rd A main I outdrove him, so I was happy. But yeah, Greg, you won that one overall, beating out John Wida, who TQ'd.
Way to go, state champ.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah?
That was fun.
How about that?
Yeah.
It was a good race. So I was having a lot of fun with the V5M.
Yeah. That car, I've had the worst mid-motor current car made, and that was the original Cougar. I should say worst on dirt. No matter what you did, you couldn't make that car work on dirt. I don't care what your skill level was, and I don't care what you think you know about setup. You could not get the Cougar to work on dirt. It's a great turf car. And so I was really leery about buying this B5 mid-motor. Stick it down on the track, box stock setup, and it's so drivable.
Even box stock, it was drivable.
Pure box stock. I have the gull-wing arms.
Yeah, I went to the rear motor rear arms and the rear motor front arms. But
I'm going to do that so I don't have to run rib tires.
yeah.
Because that's one of the things, box stock setup, if you try to put on a scrub or a dirt web, the front end gets a little too aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I hedged my bets going up there. I brought both cars, rear motor and mid motor, and started with mid motor, felt pretty good, threw the rear motor down, and the rear suspension wasn't quite right. It was too stiff, but I could tell right away that, that was not going to work, which really surprised me. I figured they would be at least equal
Yep.
in performance, but mid motor worked.
Yeah.
and I think a lot of that is due to the track preparation this year. The dirt was kept damp thanks to Greg.
Yep.
A marathon session on, I think it was Thursday night.
Thursday, that track was flooded a few times.
Yeah,
Yep.
so he did the work on Thursday to get moisture down into that dirt and brought the traction level up, and it really worked well. The track was really good.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been listening to Greg Menner tell me over and over again how that track shouldn't have been the way that we've had it over the last few years. And of course, the one race he finally makes it, it's not the way it has been
Yeah.
the last couple of
Exactly.
years.
and we were taught a little bit about tarp packing,
Yeah.
which really helped fix sections. Now I'm a little disappointed about Saturday night after I went to bed. People watered.
That was the best thing that could have happened.
No.
You might be disappointed in it, but by the end of the AAA mains,
By the
it
end
was
of the
dry.
AAA mains, yes, but
And you didn't
okay.
have time to take it to water it then.
The only thing I cared about is that patch we tarp packed was not set because that patch kept getting water. Now, if they would have done everything else, that would have been fine. That
So-
patch should have been left alone.
As long as somebody tills the entire track next year, and it gets watered like that from the start, we won't have those issues.
Yep. Well, we're gonna work on it. And again, every year.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
So,
See, that's the thing. Cody Campbell used to have it down to a science. He passed away.
it's
then
it's a
let's
learning
start
curve for
over
everybody
again.
else to pick up on.
Yeah.
So
Regardless of the issues that were there, the track was noticeably better this year than the previous
Yeah,
year.
definitely.
Racing improved as a result. The layout was better. It was. I had a genuinely fun time there that weekend.
I was way less stressed out myself. I was still stressed. But
yeah,
I was,
you almost blew up a couple times that I saw, but you didn't do it. So
Yeah.
that's good. That's
If
good.
I didn't have Emily Morris helping me, I would have been gone.
Yeah.
She really saved my hind there. I mean, she was worth every penny I paid her. She did very well considering that was her first time using RC Scoring Pro.
Yep.
She doesn't take crap from people, which is awesome in an announcer.
I thought she did a great job,
She
especially I think that's her first time announcing even.
She announces at MMR a bit.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that-
she's got a
that
little bit,
explains
and that's
it.
why I
Yeah.
asked her, because I've heard her announce at MMR, and she's
I've
pretty
actually
good.
heard quite a few of other people also say that they just thought she did a very good
Yeah,
job.
she did a
so,
good job.
Yeah.
That's nice to have another voice available
Yeah.
to run stuff.
Definitely, you don't have to hear me melt down every couple of races.
20, 30
So-
seconds or so.
But yeah, I went fully prepared to give up on the mid motor. Had no intentions on actually running it. Thursday ran all my practice with just the rear motor.
Yep.
Thursday night, and then when Jabber got there, he went and he tried the mid motor, and he convinced me. I think it was probably 11 o'clock at night to try the mid motor, and I tried the mid motor, and that was it. It was noticeable, right? That's where it's nice to have both cars.
hmm
Yep.
You hear so many people talk about, well, then you got to buy both cars, and you got to buy both cars, but it's so nice to be able to put both cars down and just it's like instantly this car is the one for this track. I'm ready to go. Then you're like 10 steps closer than you would have been if you just went with one car trying to make it work.
Yep.
Yeah, we see so many varied surfaces here in this state that I think this phenomenon is going to kind of draw to a close now that we're getting mid-motor to work on lower and lower traction surfaces. But earlier this year, it was still definitely called for to have a rear motor car
Yep.
for some of the tracks in some conditions.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
it
anyways,
was all good.
let's keep going through some results. You won stock buggy. Van Aert took second, Weeda third, Luca fourth, Menner fifth, Gutowski sixth, Joey Carlson seventh, Senior eighth, myself ninth, and Doug Osted 10th. So, and that was a very difficult A main to make. It was all pretty close.
hmm
Yeah, there were quite a few pretty fast drivers in there, so that was
Yeah.
it was a fun race. Weeda had his classic third main miss.
Yeah, no, well, he brings his family with him. I mean, I'd probably miss too if I was in the same situation.
Yeah, we got done pretty early this year though.
Yeah, he's got, what was it, 3 or 4 hours
a long ride.
Yep. And then up next is two-wheel drive SCT or Pro 2. There's one short course buggy in there. I just let it happen because, dude, we need numbers in short course, period. Dan Hammond won it. Menor second. Zach Van Dalen third. Hunter Oldenburg was fast. He ended up 7th overall, but he popped the speedo in his truck, and that's why he kept having those failures.
Okay.
So he won the first one,
Oh, yeah.
and
Him and Dan
convincing.
were racing together fairly well. It was fun watching them two together, but
they were having a good race.
yeah.
I did get a chance to look at Hunter's car a little bit. That was the worst diff I have ever seen in my life.
He makes his stuff look so clean and factory on Facebook, but then you pick it up.
I have never seen anything crunchier in my life.
It's way.
Learning the
Yeah.
entire setup process for vehicles mechanically and appearance wise is a process.
But I
Yeah.
asked him,
So
and he
it takes a
told me
while.
that it was better that way.
That-
It handled better that way.
If
For
that's
him, that was the
true-
way he wanted it to drive.
You
if
should
that's-
buy a spool for that truck then.
Yeah. If that's true, there's something.
Well, that's pretty
else
much what's
wrong
in
with
his
the sound.
four-wheeler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Hunter's got his own little practice track set up now. He's been putting down a ton of time.
He's getting better.
Yeah. Mod truck went down to B main. John Carlson won that. Silver Bullet second. Soup third. Now Soup and Damon Crawford come up there together. Damon Crawford's from Tennessee, but they're old friends from Wisconsin. One thing that a lot of pros will tell you: don't go to a weekend race with brand new vehicles. And that's what Soup and Damon did. Now, their results do not reflect their driving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're both good drivers. So
Yeah.
seeing Soup down in the B was unexpected. But yeah, he had a brand new truck and
Yeah.
trying to feel his way around there. And it's tough to do.
Been a lot of fun the last couple of years having them come out. Too.
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
both great guys.
Starbucks.
It's fun to race with them.
Yeah. It's kind of funny I kind of chuckle at Damon's accent because he's not from there, but it's, what do you call it?
He's
been-
picked up a little bit of the draw.
Yeah,
just a
he's
little.
got just a little bit. He's got in between a Midwestern accent and a
Bible Belt accent. Yeah. It's kind of humorous, but
Yeah.
great guy, super fun to be
He
around.
might be coming up for the Neary race.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I told him I got a vintage car for him to run.
Good.
But anyways, Neil Fenice won that one. You took second from a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I going into A main number 3, I realized that Kyle Holmberg had won A1.
Yep.
And I'd won A2, I believe. Yeah,
Yep.
I won the second main. So I thought, okay, all I got to do is keep Kyle behind me, and that's the way I drove.
Then you
and
forgot about
I
FedEx.
I chased Neil around the track pretty much the entire A3.
Yep.
I think I got by him once and then gave it away, but didn't really sweat it.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, he's not in the fight for this. And we get done, and I'm feeling pretty good, and go, take the tires off the truck and come back out to Marshall. And I walk up to Joe. I'm like, so I won that, right? He's like, no. What do you mean? Well, you lost in a tiebreak. I'm like, to who? Fenice. And I was like,
You
oh.
lost 2 tie breaks.
Yeah, it was a bad day for me, but it's.
See, and I
I tried.
That. I had actually watched that race, and I'd like, Marshall must just be content right now with being in second.
Yeah.
Because you had opportunities and you weren't pushing that hard.
Yep.
Yeah, Neil's really, really fun to race with.
Yeah.
He's very fast, super clean, and
He handles pressure.
the good part is he's learned to handle pressure. The bad part is he's learned to handle pressure. So
Yep.
I can't rattle him like I used to. So
Yeah.
he did a fantastic job. Lots of fast guys in that class, and he came out on top, and I'm happy that he was able to do that.
Everybody in that A main belonged in that A main for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. You took second.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Holmberg third. Craig Kruger fourth. Van Aert fifth. Now Van Aert had an excellent first main, and there was good hopes for him, but he didn't fall apart, but ended up like 5th and 6th in the next 2. Steve Nelson 6th, Clayton Cartluca 7th, Weeda 8th, Marks 9th, Eric Swanson 10th. He made the 8, but dude, he wasn't feeling racing. He just got out of a long hospital stint and whatnot.
Yeah, he was struggling that weekend, just not feeling
Didn't like
good.
himself.
Yeah, not feeling good. So I was glad to see he was there, but he
Nice that you tried to get out there.
yeah, he just had a rough weekend. He will
I
be
should have
back.
just paid him to announce. He probably would have had more fun than that.
Yeah,
He
he might
is-
have sitting around because
he-
you could tell he was definitely still recuperating a little bit.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep, he was.
Yep.
So one other thing with that, you have been running very consistently lately in truck. Those 3Ds.
I like trucks. Those tires are bomb. I've really only got to try them twice, but on two radically different track surfaces. So we had Starbuck that we're talking about here, and
Black
then also the track up in Proctor. You had to do a compound change, but that tread is just lights out good. The grip front to back and side to side is balanced. The amount of grip is high. The truck is super easy to drive with those tires. They're really good.
Now, are you running them front and rear, or are you running them just rear?
Just on the
With
rear, and then
fronts?
I'm using the carvers on the front in blue compound.
Okay.
And the balance of the truck is just fantastic. It almost drives itself.
Cool. See, that's the thing. I haven't tried the newest version of the T4. The last version I had was a T4.1 with the standard bore shocks.
Uh-huh.
And the tires were almost everywhere M4 hole shots in the rear and M3 hole shots in the front. Now, do you think the shock package and the other little changes has helped change that, or?
Well,
Let's
I think
see.
another thing too, you got the J-Con Black now, which is
Yeah.
a lot
It's-
closer, I think, to what that M4 was.
Yeah, it's a little tough for me to say because I haven't run Proline tires in quite a while. What I do know is on the 4.2, they come out of the box with the gull wing suspension and the different shock tower.
Yep.
We've tried to make it work. I got my truck to work decently with that front end, but it was never really good.
Yep.
So we went back to the T4.1 front end with the flat arms and the
Gotcha.
narrower shock tower. So in essence, we're running a T4.1 with big bores on it.
Okay.
The tires, I'm not able to compare directly because I haven't driven whole
Gotcha.
shots in a decade, so
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yep.
I think if you take
You
the
can't
general,
get the M4 hole shots anymore.
are they discontinued?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what Proline does.
The
If the
M3s
tire-
are still there,
yeah.
but the M4s are gone, I think,
Okay.
or
If the
something like that.
tire works in Minnesota, Proline's going to discontinue.
They did that with the tasers,
Oh,
too,
they did it with
so-
the tasers. They've done it with what was it? The Super Squares. They've done it with the Evil Twins. The history of Proline. They work in Minnesota, so we're going to discontinue them because
think
Minnesota tracks.
Our
aren't
tracks
like-
are always different.
They're
though.
always
We have,
different.
we have
Exactly.
goofball tracks here. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
they can't. They can't. Justify selling 10 sets of tires in a month.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That's
So
one thing I love about J-Con. He never really discontinues anything. You can just always get whatever. I mean, seriously, you can still get that silly A-scale truck or
The J82 tires.
J82 tires.
Yeah, it was like the
It is nice.
first is almost like an SCB, but it has narrow front tires.
Yeah,
I really like that black, the idea that they're trying for at least now with
Yeah.
the black compound.
Yeah, that's their answer to M4.
And these tires here have been fairly impressive.
So people
by the way,
can't
Greg
see
is
dirt
Greg is
webs.
Greg is pointing at the dirt webs that are on the back of his B5M that's on the table in front of me.
Yep.
Just to give you guys context as to what's going on.
Yeah. So we had to put that there to replace the team car that was sitting there earlier.
Yeah, I needed something
He
to
needed
look at
something
here while
more
we're
current for
we're
Marshall.
podcasting. Otherwise, I start looking at shiny things
Yep.
and chasing stuff.
See, Marshall's deal now is he's got to find a place to mount a fan
Yeah.
and a good way to mount the battery while we're doing this podcast.
I got
Well,
the battery thing figured out. Just need a little piece of foam, but the
Yeah.
fan is not really happening, I'm afraid.
All right, what class was next in Starbuck? Spec RC10.
Ah, yes.
The Gregs won it. You took first. Menor took second. I took third. because I think my dad was too stubborn to change his spur gear for the third main. He ended up fourth.
So I did. Menor and I actually did figure that out. The spur gear, the reason we're having that is the hole that the spur gear slides onto the axle, or whatever you want to call it.
The top
hub.
shaft.
The hub
yeah.
is sloppy.
Yep.
Okay.
So what happens is your spur, you'll set it, but if it shifts at all in there, you're going to strip it off.
Oh, you've got axial play on the spur.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't have that.
So-
you can't
So
have that.
Menor has found a Robinson one.
And it seems like that's working, and I ordered a couple more, and
Yep.
if I get one to work, I'm going to let everybody know, but that's why we've had quite a few spur gears go.
One thing is,
Okay,
you,
that makes sense. I didn't know
with,
that.
with the old cars and what my dad did at work for a while is the hubs they go on, you gotta buy brand new. You have to.
And I am running the old one, so I haven't tried a new one yet. Maybe that would fix the problem, a new one to
Yep.
match with the new spurs.
Yep.
I'm running the original, so
Yeah.
it could be.
That spur gear should not be rotating against that inside hub, if I remember right. I'm kind
So
of trying
the
to remember
hole
this
is
in the back of my
basically, like, too
mind.
big.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, we used to run Robinson gears on that diff way back when, so I would encourage you to try that.
Yep.
Um,
One thing is,
No suggestions beyond that, though.
when we're doing the mesh, it goes from literally a hair too tight to a hair too loose in one full rotation with
Yeah.
the AE gears.
Yeah. Try Robinson. They
Yep.
should be a little more concentric,
Yeah,
and they probably
so-
fit that hub better.
So I think that was the biggest issue that we've seen. Other than that, the drop down was a little rough on the RC10s.
Yeah.
Yes, they didn't like that much.
That's what I was ahead of Greg Menor in the last main, and 40 seconds left to go. I messed up on the drop down, and he got by me. And you know what? He was about 2-3 feet behind me throughout the whole race. He might as well have been in China, because you're not going to make up that time with the spec I'm running, unless some mistakes made. I made a mistake.
I was marshaling at the drop down in A3, and Gerton kept scaring the daylights out of me because every 2 out of 3 laps he'd come off that drop down, and there was just the smallest hole in the face of the little bit of a lip that
Yep.
led to that drop down. He kept catching that with the right side of his car, and the right side of his car would just dive on when it would happen, and it kept psyching me out. I kept thinking he was going to crash,
You
so
know
I'd
what's funny?
start running to him, but then he'd drive away from it.
We'll talk about this for Duluth results, but it almost seemed like the Duluth track, even though it was much larger, seemed to suit the cars better than Starbucks.
They looked a lot better at Duluth than they did at Starbuck, yes.
There was only one really bumpy section at Duluth. Starbuck had multiple bumpy areas.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's resolved next year, but
yeah.
other than that, the cars and the speed
Yeah.
worked really well at
Yeah.
Starbuck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing though, Silver Bullet, first time out with RC10, took 5th. Brewstead took 6th. Now, he figured out how to jump him in like the last main, because there was a trick. You couldn't either be full throttle or off the throttle. I was keeping my nose perfectly level at half throttle in the air. Chauvin took 7th, Kalinowski 8th. But like it, Brewstead, if he comes,
Brewster just hasn't raced much.
no, that's the thing.
So
Yeah, if he were to do that more often, you guys would be in trouble.
he would do well. I remember racing him in Mini Cooper. He would
Yeah.
do well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Spec RC10 went well. We had 8 total racers for Starbuck, and nobody took the. Joey Carlson was supposed to take the rental, but he chickened
He did
out.
run a little bit, didn't he? Didn't he run the first couple quals or something? He just
No,
it broke
he just
and
ran the practice.
Oh, he never got it actually running.
If I remember right, he found that the driving experience of that car was not suited to his taste.
It's bumpy.
Yeah.
The one thing with that car is it does not hide the bumps. Going from that to the new car, when you pick up the new car, it feels so much better.
35 years of development
Exactly,
will do that.
but you feel all of those 35 years, and it makes driving this even more fun, though,
Yeah.
because you're going from the one extreme, and then you go to the new one, and it's like you could hit every bump under the sun, and it wouldn't matter. The car just feels great.
What's
Yep.
so funny about the RC10 though is the closest in racing, and everybody's got the same thing.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
some people, it is just so. I mean, I had to learn
It's a
how.
spec class.
I had to learn how to pitch and dive again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't done that in like 15 years.
Yeah.
It is
Very different driving style.
Two-wheel drive buggy, or two-wheel drive buggies next. Craig Kruger won for the 3rd year in the row.
Kid's unstoppable at two-wheel mod.
Yeah.
He's pretty fast.
Yeah, his first main was not awful, but not at his peak. Fenice second, Marshall, Fenice second, Van Dalen third, Marshall fourth. Hammond fifth, Kyle Holmberg sixth, Steve Nelson seventh, Van Earth eighth, Whedon ninth, I think Hunter Holmberg 10th.
Yep.
Yeah, Hunter just more issues. He was fast all weekend, just a little here and there.
He's got some vehicle maintenance stuff to kind of sort out.
The odd thing is, I think most of his trouble has been electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he'll figure it out. His stuff is fast, and when he's on, he's spectacular to watch. He's Mayfield like, how punched he drives.
Yep.
He does drive
And
pretty strapped.
He's comfortable strapped. That's another, because he's never known anything else. He's always driven strapped. Now he's just getting good at it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, I halfway thought about teaching Joe 3 how to drive just plain strapped, but it's a bad idea.
You have to see what he does with a car naturally first, and if he displays unusual talent in catching the car when it's out of shape, then he can teach him how to drive strapped.
And if he shakes like Grandpa, you better figure something out.
Yeah.
Then teach him to drive smooth.
He's going to be a stock truck driver, I think. For his birthday, I'm going to buy him a ready-to-run rock crawler, because that's what he wants. I still get the tower catalogs in the mail. He's always at the axial section. I want that.
Okay. All right.
And it's like, okay, and then if he gets interest in racing, I'll buy him a race car.
Cool.
Jacqueline is getting my B44.2.
Okay.
And I'm turning the speed down to like 20%.
Okay.
So if you think about it, the four-wheel drive buggy is an awesome handling vehicle to start with.
Yeah.
If you take away all the speed, you're not going to break it nearly as much.
Yep.
So, Masters is up next. It's a class we only run up in Starbuck. Chris Malooly won that one. I didn't know he's like 48. No, he's like 43 or 48. I
have no idea how old he is, but
he looks a lot younger than.
I raced with him out in at Trackside, and he hung out with us. He came out there with Andrew.
Yeah.
It was a blast to hang out with all weekend. Same again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he
fun
runs.
guy.
Yeah, he runs down at MMR regularly. Really nice guy, and he's kind of learning the ways of racing, and he's improving. His truck was lights out. That truck looked really, really good. I haven't. That's one of the top 10 vehicles I've ever seen on a track for how well it looked to be working.
Yeah.
And he said too, it's like, I'm afraid to even touch this thing because it's so good.
I won't. I won't even rebuild the shocks until like one was totally missing oil. Scooter, that's Scott Tulf, took second. Bruce Vertke took third. Elf, that's I forget his last name, took fourth. Gary Pana fifth. Jay Campbell sixth, and Frank Hennessy seventh. Jay Campbell's usually a little bit farther up the ladder, but he recently had knee surgery and he's just been out of it.
And I know Gary had quite a few troubles with his truck over the weekend too. So
Yeah.
That I know he loves that Losi, but he has had some issues with it recently.
Well, they discontinued their stadium trucks, so. Well, I mean, Losey's trying to be the leader in that, I think, because everybody's saying stadium truck is whatever.
Yeah, I know. Kyle asked about that too online.
We'll talk about that later.
You want to wait till the four-wheeler stuff?
Yeah, but up next, Pro 4. That's four-wheel drive short course. Only 3 showed up. Malooly won it. Joe Chauvin second, and Derek Rupert third. I think Derek is Joe Kalinowski's kid.
I
Or step kid.
believe you're right. Yep.
Powder Puff. That was a good battle between Madison Ostead and Julia Van Dalen. Madison ended up taking it. It was just a difference between Madison had a B5 and Julia had a SCB.
Yep.
Otherwise, Julia would have been right there too.
And they were getting around the track well. I got to watch
Yep.
some of their qualifiers and some of their mains, and
Yeah.
and they're doing a really good job. They're getting quick.
All Julia does is pound laps with that one car.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs it twice in the Nitro Series too. She runs Electric Sportsman in the SCB class.
Okay.
So she's getting a lot of wheel time with it.
You have to bear with us here.
Miko's,
Miko, the ran out of talent dog, has forgotten that he had a chew toy out, or either that or he's eaten it. No, there it is over there.
Yeah.
He's forgotten that he's had it, so now he's coming on over to get some attention from us.
He's saying hi.
Yep.
Emily Morris, who was also announcing, ended up third. Luann Grovem fourth. Karen DeGrave fifth. Stephanie Hennessy sixth. And Maxine Wilson seventh. Is that all for class? No, there's still 4 mod, I believe.
Oh yeah, we got 4-wheel mod for sure. Yeah,
Yep.
there it is.
B main, Doug Ostead won the B. Joe Sr. took second. John Carlson third. Flipped down. All right, Seth Van Dalen won. He did lights out, double win with 4-wheel modified. Kruger second, Kyle Holmberg third. Marshall lost a point, tiebreaker there for fourth with Kyle Holmberg.
Womp womp.
Yep.
At least this one wasn't for first.
Yeah, yeah. It was just the podium, no big deal.
Yeah. Joey Carlson fifth, Clayton Cart Lucas sixth, Sinclair seventh, Mark eighth, Hunter Holmberg ninth, and Talon Gons 10th. It's cool to see Talon make that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Seth came out with the new Hot Bodies D413 and kind of wreck shop. He was the only one who would take on jumping the quint.
Yep.
So the track design intention was a triple double.
Yep.
And
But we kind of left it open to interpretation.
yeah, and he took that interpretation and made it work for him.
Yeah.
In qualifying, I know he was struggling with that. He and I were running together in one of the qualifying rounds. I triple doubled and while he was quinting, and he would crash 2 out of 3 laps off that thing. But
Yeah.
when he did land it, it was I don't know, 1.5 seconds faster.
Yeah.
So I stayed with him due to his crashing because I was triple doubling. But once he figured out how to quint it even a little more consistently, because I think he was still crashing that in the mains,
Yeah.
it was just so much faster that it was something that could not be overcome.
Yep. Exactly. Is that it for Starbuck?
I think that's all there was.
Yeah. Starbuck. Go stock
No,
truck.
stock truck.
Stock truck. Now this is a class I'd like to see make a comeback full time eventually, but it's going to take a couple of years. Mike Dennis won that with a last corner pass to Chris Malooly. Chris Malooly almost won that one, which would have been cool to see him win all 3 classes that are only ran at Starbuck. But no, Mike Dennis came up Saturday morning, grand qualifying, and yeah, you beat Malooly in the last corner of the 3rd main.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that
That was
close.
It was that
That's cool.
close.
Yeah, that is cool.
And then, yeah, well, look at the.
Yeah, I see the
Yeah.
looking at the points and the times and stuff. Yeah, yeah. Mike Dennis won the 3rd main by 8/100ths of a second
Yep.
over Malooly, so that's less than a car length.
Yeah. Mike's kid Brandon took 3rd overall. Brett Algren, only time he ever races is Starbuck, took 4th. Justin Fish 5th, and brother-in-law Brian Olson 6th. And that would be it, I believe. Yep, that's
That
it
is
for
all
Starbuck.
there is for Starbuck.
All right, let's go through Duluth. Through Duluth, I wanted to talk about the dirt setup a little bit.
It was interesting,
It
and
had
it wasn't
grip.
bad. It wasn't bad. So the club up there, LSRCC, decided to start trying lime, and I always want to say epoxy, but that's not the right term. Resin.
Yep.
Resin,
Right?
yes.
Yes.
So a combination of lime and resin. Greg and I went up there the week before while they were still testing, and they had one section of track that was really promising. They were kind of trying patchwork applications so that they could get more tests in. So they had one section that worked really well. It was it looked like asphalt. It wasn't as hard though, and it wasn't as grippy, but it still had very good grip.
Yep.
So they applied that to the track for the following weekend. Mother Nature just barely cooperated
Yeah.
with getting that done, and the track was good. It was much better than last year. The surface was still unusual in that there were some varying grip levels. There were still sections that were bumpy.
Yep.
I would like to publicly apologize to Joe Zer Jr. for blowing up his phone overnight from Friday night to Saturday morning.
Moon craters.
Yes, I took a picture of one section of the track that was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was Kyle Stotzman actually described it better than I did. It looked like the skin of a burn victim. But it was in a section where the cars were unweighted, and I tried to say that on Facebook, but people didn't get that, so they were blowing up Joe's phone overnight saying, "What's the track like?"
Yeah, it's fine.
But no, the track was good. The dust that was a problem the previous week was eradicated. There was very little dust.
Yeah.
Traction, I would call it medium.
Yeah.
It wasn't high, it wasn't low, and we did not discover the one true tire to rule them all.
Yeah.
Lots of different tires worked, which I think is a good thing. I think that's good.
We saw that the J-Con Spectrum worked very well. with
Splitters
The splitters
and the dirt webs.
and you were able to get reds at times, but blues were better.
Yep.
On the Saturday race in the sun,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think that if it was hot enough, you could get the oranges to work.
Yeah. I've only had a little bit of experience with the orange compound so far.
It wasn't hot
over
enough. It was a
It was
beautiful day.
85-ish, 84-ish.
It
It
was-
was just
It didn't
low
feel like
80s,
it, though.
and I think it just wasn't hot enough for orange for some reason.
I think with the
85,
seas, yeah.
85 at Pine City works.
Yeah.
I know that, but it
And
just
now this is a slightly different surface.
yeah, and
so
it didn't groove up hard like Pine
it
City
seems
does. So I
like-
think that's what it.
If you're
Probably
going
is.
from a J-Con tire, the red and the blues are the safer bet.
Blues were the safest bet all
I think they work
overall.
all the time because they even worked Thursday night when we were up there.
Yeah, they work all the time. If the track has a little more grip, if the temperature comes up, they still work, but they get twitchy. The red compound, that's when you switch to the red compound because they're not twitchy, but they still have grip.
Yep.
And I know there were quite a few other racers that had a lot of success alternating between the soft and the super soft, aka impacts. As
AKA's work. Proline had tires that worked.
My dad was running M4 whatever, and he was getting 2 runs out of them, but he said they were excellent.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So there was no single tire.
And there were guys there running green. I mean,
Yeah,
they were
I tried
running-
greens.
Yeah, they were running everything. They all worked.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. People are saying, like I mentioned greens in one of my Facebook posts. Everybody's like, "Well, that's an indoor tire." Well, technically yes, but you have no idea what the surface is going to do. You can't do the indoor-outdoor tire thing.
If I remember right, Hunter Holmberg TQ'd one round with black compound rear tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were gone after one run, but he
Yo.
TQ'd with them.
And I think that was kind of one of the things, though. Is I think what we found was it was everything worked. It wasn't really so much that one tire was way faster than another. I think everything worked. That what you're really doing is going after more of a wear.
Yeah.
Consistency over the whole run was the hard part that I was searching for. I get 4 minutes, but the last 2 were the hard part.
Yeah, I saw that a little bit too. And when you have several tires that kind of work, what you usually end up seeing is one tire works well in one section of the track and another tire works well on a different section of the track, and that's what we saw here too.
Yep.
I was trying to balance out how much performance I could get on the smooth areas of the track, but still get through the rough areas without upsetting the car. And other people went the other route. They decided to make the car super easy to drive on the rough stuff and then give up some performance on the smooth stuff.
Yep.
But in the end, it all kind of worked out.
What I really liked was low dust.
Yes,
And
that
that's
was really
the only
good.
way you're going to get that in Duluth,
Though-
because the watering it, you will
Yeah.
never keep the dust down because
Though-
it dries out too fast.
Well,
Right.
the only parts of that dust were the down sections of like jumps and whatnot.
Right.
The nighttime racing there is phenomenal without the treatment.
Yep.
But to get a day big race to work,
You need a sprinkler system.
I don't even know if that works.
I think it would, if it's direct sunlight and it's hot enough, it would dry out during the heat.
It dries out too fast.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, it kind of like back at the '96 stock Nats, because you were race director at that one.
Yes, I
Um,
was.
the rain saved that race.
Yeah. That
'Cause
was
they're watering after every single heat. And it wasn't enough.
right. Yeah. That was black dirt there, so
Yeah.
it soaked up the heat from the sun even quicker. But yeah, the treatment at that track was exactly what it needed.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. I think most everybody else liked it too, and it was
One
very
reason,
successful.
though, they are doing that for a different reason than grip, though. They need something that will deflect the water better. You know what I
They're
mean?
trying to avoid rainouts, things
Yeah.
like that.
They,
Make it a
they
little
got
easier to
rained out.
respond.
You're also helping yourself from a track maintenance perspective as
They-
well.
But they got rained out for literally a month and a half straight. And
Last
as
year.
Well, we
no,
all
this
did.
year.
Yeah,
This
June
year.
was so wet that
I,
none of us got
They-
to race outside.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, now we're in a drought.
Yeah.
I had talked with Gary a little bit over that day,
Yep.
and the one thing that he said was this year is really a trial year. See how it worked, and I think they're seeing the success now. The second time, the lime was really that missing ingredient,
Yep.
because it worked well with the resin for a few weeks, but that hard packed lime really helps hold everything together. It seems like better.
Yep.
So I think they found what they need in order to make it work for both club racing and the big weekend races now. And I would anticipate it only getting better next year.
Yeah.
Because if you were to start the year on a fresh layout with that, you're going to be a lot smoother. Where this the only reason it was rough in certain areas was they were trying to do this and maintain this on a track that had been rained out for a month and a half and
right.
had those issues.
Yep.
So I really think they did a phenomenal job and
They
They
got
did.
the
put a
resin
lot
for
of work
free.
in.
They got the resin for free from club member Nick Lovato. He
Okay.
owns a paint store or paint supply something or other,
Okay.
and he donated the resin. That's why they didn't go straight to rhino snot.
Okay. Well, it all worked out. I thought it
Yeah.
was very successful, and I hope they continue to do that.
I can't
'cause
wait
that
for the
was,
MNRC race this weekend to see how that works.
Yeah.
Because this track it comes down to the racers and not the layout.
Yeah.
See, and without the lime, it would have been horrible by this weekend again.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yep.
if
So-
we would have dealt with what we dealt with last year for the Nitro Series, I don't know what we could have done.
That's
It was-
real off-road. There should be ruts. There should be sand everywhere. Rah, 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 rah.
Everybody's complaining about it, and might as well make it.
See, it's not real off-road. We're playing with toy cars.
I see the biggest problem is
Um,
most of the tread patterns are going towards this dirt web type style,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work in that real off-road scenario anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think much does.
I think, well, if Mar pins were okay,
They were.
step pins were okay,
We're,
but nobody makes those tires anymore.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So our, Minnesota is different than everywhere else, and right now I think certain areas are starting to catch up.
Outdoor racing in Minnesota is a very difficult situation.
Yep. You need all the tires.
Yep.
To get through the
That's
season,
about
you
it.
need all the tires.
That's about it.
And that's the way it is. But also, it teaches you to drive a car that's not 100% right, because even the guys who have been doing this forever will guess and miss.
Yep.
And so you gotta drive what you got. And I think that's a good skill to have.
Yeah. So let's start going through results. Dylan Grovem TQ'd and won Sportsman, beating the old man again, who took second. They're tied in points right now, I believe.
Okay.
Luann took third. Jacob Fenna took fourth. Sophia Verke, beating her brother, took fifth. Graham Verke took 6.
And that was a close race too.
Yeah, no, it was. It did come down to the last lap.
Nice.
I enjoy Sportsman, and you know what? I'd like to see it like with the MNRC. I'd like to see Sportsman go down to the B main, but a lot of people don't bring their whole family to these one-day events because it's not a bring your RV, bring your camper deal.
Right.
But
I could
would
see that making a big difference in Sportsman.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's where, dude, that's usually the biggest class in MNRC is two-wheel drive Sportsman. It's
Yeah, I remember that. It really grew and got huge.
Yeah.
That's really good to see.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have enough new people. There's never enough new people.
Yep.
Stock buggy, A-Main, you won that one again, Gerton. Senior took second. Gutowski third. That was a good race between them for a while. Gutowski stuffed it. Menor ended up 4th. Gary Pana 5th. Jay Campbell 6th. Clayton Kartluka 7th. He broke out.
yeah, Clayton actually had a really fast car through
Yeah.
that.
He's getting things
So-
figured out.
But Gerton's just an animal in two-wheel drive stock with his 1,420 gram
It's-
B5M.
1420. That's underweight.
Shh. Oh, sorry, I said that out loud, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's a name Greg.
That's
You
not till I get my carbon fiber chassis. Then I'll be
Oh,
1420.
All right.
I'm not going to carbon fiber. You have to have the name Greg to be fast in stock racing.
Is that
That's
right?
what I figured.
Okay.
Back in the day, Menor was unstoppable. Now Gerton's taking it.
Tony
Are you
Block
calling him
and-
old now? Is that the thing?
Oh.
Tony Block and John Weeda would like to discuss
Yeah,
who's fast in
well,
stock with
I think
you.
That's an on-road suit.
I'm crossing my fingers to be good enough to make the A main and 12 scale this winter.
I should specify off-road.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one. Clayton had a good car that weekend. I actually should have switched. These were still reds. I'm pointing to the red
Dirt
webs.
whips.
And,
That are on the back of his B5M that are on the table here.
the car that hasn't been touched since that day, and I really wanted to put blues on, and I had a set with me, but I couldn't get myself to glue up a brand new set of tires for the mains.
You have not been to the Marshall Scaria race management program, have you?
I intend on having that program a little bit more legit when we go down to Iowa,
Okay.
and I'm gonna run all stock down there, so we'll see how that
Okay.
goes.
All right.
Are you
Very
getting a
good.
stock truck?
I am.
All right.
It's sitting right over there in the corner.
Sweet. All right. Up next is Mod Truck B Main. Kyle Holmberg. He was only really in the B Main because we do qual points for 90% of our racing, and he broke out at 2 of 3.
That triple really kind of ate his truck up, literally.
He was
He
having.
couldn't make it.
Well, he could make it.
but-
If I remember right, he
but it
was
was like-
braking off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I
was
swear he
landing-
crashed 6 out of the 14 laps.
Okay.
Every time he landed, every time he broke, he landed on like the one rear tire. Boom, broke.
One, there has to be a quality. It might be time, Kyle, for you to go through that truck.
Yeah.
There's probably a quality problem involved with maintenance. Of
Oh,
that.
he redeemed himself
And
in the A main.
He did. But
Well,
you know,
the thing about it is, he probably broke all the bad parts and through qualifying.
So we found the bad
Yeah,
problem, so we're
He-
okay.
Yeah.
He replaced the rear end in steps.
he just got a little bit of
I know Kyoshos are expensive, Kyle, but you probably should go through your cars.
yeah. He just got a little bit of extra time and a little extra radio time in a B main. There's nothing wrong.
He did, no, and then he, like you said, he redeemed himself, so it
Yeah.
all worked out.
Bullet also bumped out of that one. And then A-Main, Neil Fenice won that one. Is that two straight in a row that he won truck?
Yes.
Well, he
Yeah.
won Starbuck, yeah.
I'm kind of curious if he won at the 5.
I don't remember anymore.
remember.
That was a long
Yeah.
time
I
ago.
don't remember.
That was all the way in April.
He would have been top 3, I'm sure.
We've only raced 3 times.
I know. It's been a weird year.
Yeah. Fenice won that one. Kyle Holmberg, your bump boy, took 2nd. Van Aert 3rd. John Click 4th. Steve Nelson 5th. Marshall, you took 6th after TQing. Had a rough
Yeah.
last 2 laps.
Yeah.
Aaron
Sure
Verkey
did.
7th and Clayton Kartluka 8th.
Quite a few bobbles in that race.
He missed out on a podium.
Yeah, I had mistakes
I
early
ran
on.
out on the first
ran
corner.
third. Yeah, I had mistakes early on. I was running third for a while and had one more mistake towards the end of the race, and I wasn't making headway on running down Neil or Kyle, and I kind of had a little meltdown. And poor
Because you were running second
poor
for a long
poor
time.
poor
in that
Gutowski
race.
was kind of watching my truck flailing on the pipe as I was as I was melting down. So he wasn't quite sure what to do with it. My race was over from my perspective anyway. So he finally put me back on my wheels. But yeah, that was not one of my better moments.
No. RC10, we only had 5 of us because, again, nobody used the rental. I'm feeling like I wasted some money there. I really want somebody to just use. I mean, they got to pay the entry fee. They don't have to pay any like rental fee or nothing. They just got to pay the entry fee. But Kalinowski's car was busted. Plus, he was doing the maintenance on the track. He's blowing the track off and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think Menor was willing to fix it, so I think he should get that taken care of.
Yep.
Maybe bring it on a Thursday night and get it taken care of.
And Joe Chauvin had a wedding to go to, and Bruce had Volkswagen things to do. So there are 3 guys missing there, but Senior won that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
He had a great run.
Yeah.
From
no,
the
good
third
for him.
starting position, I might
Yep.
add.
He beat you there, Gerton.
He had an excellent run.
So no undefeated season for you.
No, I still blame Menor for
No.
everything.
Okay.
Jeez.
There were 5 of us. I broke out in the first lap. I didn't even get in lap 1 because I lost a ball stud. And I sat and I watched that race, and Senior just didn't give you an inch. Yeah. And Bullet was right there the whole time, too. Every time you guys made a mistake, bobbled, or when you guys were racing hard, here comes Bullet. He took 4th, but he was...
It was a great, it was a fun race.
Yeah.
And Senior ran great.
Yeah. You blew the chicken's foot that one time that let Senior by.
I did. He did a couple of times,
He-
too. I
he
got in
did.
front of him, and then I did the same thing.
Well, he got
So-
in front of you, and then he blew
Yeah.
the chicken's foot, and then you got back by, and then
He ran very well,
Yep.
and I spent a lot of time right behind him,
yeah.
waiting and waiting and waiting for him to do his natural shake into the tube, and
Yep.
it didn't happen.
Yep. That chicken's foot was tough with the RC10.
That was tough with every vehicle.
But
Yeah.
if you hit it right, man.
I think I actually agree. I think it was harder with the RC10. It was very rough because
Oh, yeah.
when the braking aspect to it and everything else,
Yep.
it wanted to overshoot it. You didn't have the same feel that I had with like the stock
Yeah.
buggy or the 4-wheeler. Actually, was probably
Yeah.
the best at it. But
Yeah. But it's kind of fun watching that class, actually sitting and watching. That's the first
Yeah.
RC10 race I've been able to watch all year. And I was watching
that was the closest race I think
Yep.
all year.
the mod buggy guys were marshaling it, and or mod truck guys were whatever, buggy or truck guys were marshaling it, and they've been sarcastic towards that class all year long. They don't get the point, whatever. And they were sarcastically, hooting and cheering at the start of that race, and then by the end of that race, there was no more sarcasm left. They were actually getting into it, which is cool.
Yeah, the racing was excellent.
Yeah.
I wasn't the one being sarcastic about it,
No,
but
you
I
weren't.
was watching, and
No,
yeah,
yeah.
the racing has been excellent with those cars.
Yeah.
I don't think
will
it matters
absolutely
what car
agree.
it is when you have close racing.
Yeah.
It's fun
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best kind.
It's kind of funny. The biggest track we've raced on so far has been the best track for the cars.
Yep.
All right, mod buggy. We'll start with the B main. Tony Marks and John Click bumped out of the B main to make the A. Neil Fenice won that one too.
Yeah, kid's pretty quick, huh?
Well, hopefully he doesn't get a 4-wheeler.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, Marshall, you took 2nd there.
Yep. I chased him around the track, and that was very, very fun. We were close together again for a while, and
Yep.
he just kind of eased away, and I think I crashed on it with 2 laps to go, and that was about it. But
Yep.
yeah, he did it again.
Yeah.
You put pressure on him, he just doesn't crack, and he's fast.
Yeah.
So.
I'd like to point out Mr. Steve Nelson took a big jump there with that mid-motor car.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Nelson's
And,
first mid-motor.
I don't think I've seen him. I've been racing, 4 or 5 years?
Oh.
I haven't seen Steve that happy in a track since that entire time.
Yep.
He
He had a very
did
good
say
day.
it's renewed my love for racing.
Um,
Yep.
So that's good for Steve.
Yeah.
Steve took third, having a good time. Vanner took fourth. Hunter Holmberg took fifth. Tony Marks sixth. Kyle Statsman seventh. Dan Hammond eighth. Kyle Holmberg ninth, and John Click 10th. So yeah, there's some faces we haven't seen all season. Bub came. I think he ended up in the B main wherever he was, but it's cool to see him.
that was fun, and
No.
him and Click were there.
Yeah. SCT. It's a mix. I put under Pro 4, but it was short course mixed. Because there's next year, if you don't have 5, you're not running. We could do a mixed bag like this all day long, but it won't count for points next year. Jeremy Jones, local guy, won it with his Pro 4 truck. His fast laps were really fast for a short course truck. Not in the main, but I think in a couple qualifiers, he got down to the 23 seconds.
Good. That's good.
I've never
that's
heard of
real
the guy.
fast. Yeah.
I've never. I think he just started racing this
They've
summer.
actually had some very good club turnouts at times.
Yeah.
The one that we went to was pretty down,
Mhm.
but I have heard and seen where they've had some
Yep.
new racer influx up there.
Good.
It's been pretty good.
Good.
Yep. Menor took second with his low center of gravity slash. Luann Grovem, normally runs Sportsman, took third. Dylan took fourth, but he broke. He was running in second and on the lead lap with his short course buggy. Patrick Fenna took fifth, and Hesh took sixth. All right, four-wheel drive modified is up next. Clayton Cartluca held you off for
Yes.
that one.
Yes, he did.
You had a faster car, but he was not giving you 1 inch.
He's all another one who's really good at driving under pressure.
Yeah.
I decided to make life harder for myself by crashing on the first lap. Went down to 9th, started working my way back up, and got to second. Got up to Kyle Holmberg. Thought I was going to make the superhero pass of the day at the end of the straightaway. Got by him, and I grabbed the brakes right at that second compression bump, and the car ended. It's like, oh, womp womp. So worked back up, and got behind Clayton, and could go no further. I just could not find a place to get by him. He did a great job.
Yeah, definitely.
That looks like it was a great race.
It was. That was fun, and he drives clean, and he was fast, and his car was about 17 feet wide.
Yeah. Yeah, so you took second there, Marshall. Hunter Holmberg, he was in the lead mix up until about the second to last lap. He tried going for a weird double pass on the straightaway that worked out very poorly for him.
Yeah.
But he's right there. Tony Marks fourth, Sinclair fifth. Greg, you took sixth. Will Campbell seventh. Now Kyle Holmberg and Senior both broke and re-entered the race.
That's right.
Kyle lost a wheel. I forget what Senior's car shut off for a lap or two. Stole the electronics, man. But yeah, Kyle's car was faster, and Senior would have been somewhere up in that mix too. But yeah, good day of racing overall. Love Duluth.
Yep, that was a great day. I really enjoyed that. We had perfect weather. We got done about an hour and a half before the downpour came.
Yeah. Hey, that's all we needed.
Yeah, that worked out perfectly.
I'm watching the radar. I'm like, come on.
Let's go.
I'm like, if it rains, well, you know what? There's a couple people, Gerton here included, who thought I went a little too fast.
Yeah.
If it would have been,
If I
if
would've
there were more
waited it-
heats, we would have had a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I would have waited too, there would have been a problem.
Well, if we had had more heats, we wouldn't have asked you to wait.
Is an hour and 30 minutes per round. The first round I took a 10-minute break after, so that's an hour 40. Second, I took a 30-minute
Took
break.
a 22-minute break.
30.
It was timed.
30.
It was timed.
One, I took a longer than normal break, and after the third round, I took 15 minutes. So that's more than I'm usually
There was
willing to
nothing
give.
wrong with that because normally that would have been really big breaks.
Yeah.
And again, it was just in the circumstances that we had with 9 heats.
But
we didn't have to rush.
You probably weren't staring at the radar like I was.
Maybe
I didn't know about the rain coming, so that makes more sense now.
We were around for a long time after that race.
Yeah.
I don't know what time it actually
It's,
rained, but
do you know how the radar changes? It should have
Right
came
about
an
7
hour
o'clock.
earlier.
Because
And
it rained just before I got on the road to go home, and I got on the road at
Where'd
7.
you guys end up eating?
I didn't eat anywhere. I went home.
Oh, you see.
we all went in.
Yeah.
A couple of us went to Duluth. I know some people went to Blackwoods though.
No, just me and my dad ended up at Blackwoods.
Oh,
Everybody
okay.
bailed out of that situation.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering. Yeah, no, races ended at 5:20.
Rain hit at 7.
Yeah, but I was looking at the radar. It was supposed to hit closer to 6-ish.
No, Miko, don't chew on the RC10
But yeah,
Classic.
even
It's not a chew toy.
That's right.
even if the weather's clear, my radar's going on my phone almost 100% of the time when I'm in the booth. So, and this weekend, there's small chance of storms and whatnot, but it should be okay. I might sleep in the announcing booth instead of bringing the camper up, because
That'll be nice, I'm sure.
Be cool. And they got
The-
nice
yeah.
AC.
Oh,
in
that's
it.
right. I'm thinking, okay, he's talking Duluth. That actually wouldn't be so bad.
The thing about the pop-up camper is, if it gets famously windy up there, I might be in trouble.
Yeah, there's that.
So all right, let's get into some questions here. Somebody want us to cover what we thought of the Hot Bodies D14,
D413.
D413.
I
All
can
right.
say from witnessing it, the car is very durable.
Yes.
Seth
what-
crashed his a lot at Starbuck and it didn't break.
What I've seen of the car, I've seen a stock one, and I've seen Seth's. Seth's has a Kyosho front shocks on it, and somebody else had stock front shocks at the Full Throttle Nitro Series race.
Okay.
Front shocks on it are too, I don't want to say they just aren't it.
I talked to Sean about this, and they made an interesting choice in mounting the top of the shocks. They mount them on a ball end. They don't use a screw that goes through the shock with a nut.
That's why.
And they were having trouble in testing with popping the shocks off of that ball cup.
So that's so good.
So the shock mod, when they put Kyosho shocks on that car, they only put them on the front.
Yep.
And they only did it because they wanted to run a screw through it. Apparently there's a mod available where you can run an associated plastic cap on it if you jam it on, but the threads are different, so it turns into a kludge. So that's why they were running the shocks on that car.
But yeah, the car's strong. The car is fast.
Yeah, it looked very good. I couldn't catch it.
Yeah, I like the dual configurations. The shorty runner, the saddle packs.
I didn't catch what configuration they were running.
Yeah, the shorty.
Okay.
I think that's really that lighter weight. Really,
I
I
think
don't
it-
see
that's-
any downside.
Oh yeah,
to it.
that's
I
absolutely
think
the way to
everybody's
go.
just going to go the shorty, so they only have to have one battery.
That
Yeah,
lighter is always
Yes.
better.
Yes.
So
Another thing is I want to compare it to the B44.3 that's coming out. The B44.3 is also going to have gear diffs and a gear center diff.
Uh-huh.
Now, are those going to be options or factory?
the car will come from the factory with gear diffs in it.
Good.
You have the option of running the ball diffs and the VST slipper from the 44.2 if you would like to.
Yep.
I would encourage people to try the gear diffs first
Yep.
and see how they work. I think the car will work very well with them in almost every circumstance.
Yep.
In reality, this release is pretty much what won the Worlds last year.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Hartson's car.
Yeah.
So
Because, well, what he was running was, he was running the Avid chassis, and he was running the Durango diff setup, which the Durango diff setup is very expensive to put.
So
in the
now for the
B44.
price of Durango diffs, you can just buy a whole car.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's
Which is
and
excellent.
The rest of the geometry has been well proven. The car
Yep.
works well, so now it'll just be better.
They did they upgrade to the newer shock shafts?
Yep.
Yes, the car gets the V2 12 millimeter shock, so that now we can
So you can run
use
the new,
B5 seal assemblies and the B5 caps and the B5 shafts, which really were the same, but we're looking at the seal
But the
assemblies.
O-rings, the low friction O-rings were a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Here's a question that I haven't been able to find the answer to, but I haven't looked very hard either. Now, did they tap everything for metric hardware, or are they still going to get rid of the standard?
Nope, the car is still SAE. The amount of work that would have been necessary to convert that car to metric
Wouldn't have
is
been worth it.
way beyond anything that would have been worth it.
Yep.
So the rest of the car is still SAE, and that's just how it kind of played out.
Yep. Now, from
I
my
like these
yeah, the arms are cool.
to be able to. I mean, these
These guys are drooling at the D413 arms with the carbon inserts,
Yep.
which is a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
No.
Not having to pull the whole arm off to
Change the
adjust it,
stiffness.
just to be able to adjust it with inserts.
Yep.
But now, personally, I would choose the Associated because all the breakable parts are already out for the car.
Yeah.
The problem with the top bodies in general is releasing an ample amount of parts. A while back, they had to discontinue one of their A scales for a little bit. Not
Oh.
stop production, not back order, discontinue.
Really?
Yep. I want to say it was a generation before this one,
Okay.
just because they couldn't keep up with parts flow.
Okay.
They were unable, period. I've been seeing parts slowly flow in for this car, but the second they're in, they're gone.
Don't hit stuff.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
come on now.
yeah. Well, it's tough. Hot Bodies has really innovative stuff. I mean, the
Yeah.
D413 is a really clever car
It is.
in a lot of ways, and they're still in a phase where they're building customers, and you have to have the customers in order to make the parts. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a chicken and egg problem. I mean, I'm seeing the cars more frequently, and it's more competition in chassis is better.
Yep.
And I hope that they get their supply stuff straightened out
Yep.
because it's a cool car
That's
for
the
sure.
only real issue with the car is the supply, parts supply.
Yep.
Oh man, that kind of bugs me. Testman runs Savics. We're looking at the photos.
And it wasn't fast enough to beat Hartson, so there is that.
Yeah. That's very true. Well,
We'll see what happens at Nationals here.
the thing about
Shortly.
the thing
No.
about it is every single time Testman hits a track, he's doing some Superman crap that he hadn't done the race prior. Testman and Fender. Yeah.
They do it because they can.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty car, but it looks like something I would break.
No, you want it
It's
though.
amazing that
That's
it's
the thing,
this
you want
durable. Yeah.
The only issue is the front shocks, from what I've understood, and
I'm looking closely at this one picture of the 413 that we're seeing from their website. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, from HPI, and that car has screws through the top of the shock. So I don't know why that one's different than Seth's was, but
Looks like Proline caps or something.
that
Looks like an L or
Yep.
a TLR.
yeah okay.
oh
Alright.
yeah, he could be running Proline.
Proline shocks on this car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Proline's abundance of short course shocks, so maybe the SCB shocks for they have their SCB out, maybe those shocks lined up or something lined up.
That could be, but the car is light. It is fast. It's durable.
The
I
rip
think,
you get out of that center diff.
Well, I think it's more of a function of how light the car is.
That's true.
Because a gear center diff, if you don't have thick enough fluid in it, you're actually going to
Oh
lose.
yeah,
You're going to lose acceleration off a bumpy corner.
they
Yeah, I
were
would
running ridiculously high weight in that. I want to almost say 1 million weight.
I don't see why that would be. I think a VST slipper tightened down is going to be more bite.
Yeah, you'll get more.
the gear.
You'll get more acceleration with a slipper that doesn't slip versus a gear diff on a bumpy corner
Do you
every time. But
think you would get more consistency out of a gear diff, though?
that's the thing. On a bumpy track, a gear diff is a huge advantage because the car doesn't start to buck
Gotcha.
on acceleration over bumps like it can with a slipper.
Without knowing the difference between a regular shorty and this shorty
Yep.
is 50 grams. The difference between that
He's pointing to the
lipo-
new 3,500 milliamp shorty,
Yeah.
the lightweight shorty.
The difference between that saddle pack and a shorty is probably at least 100 grams.
Probably.
Yeah, it's about 100, maybe 120. It's a huge
So
difference.
you're
in
talking
weight.
about a lot of weight that you don't have to lift
That's
over those
true.
jumps.
And
I bet that was
And
more. it than
saddle
anything.
packs too are about $30 or $40 more expensive than a regular
But
shorty.
I meant more from the jumping
Oh,
aspect
yeah.
where you were going at the center diff. I
Yep.
bet you Seth, in general, just because it was so much lighter, probably had
Definitely.
a better chance at it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
I-
yeah, it's a good car. It'll be interesting to see how it does for sure.
I
It's nice looking.
always, not necessarily, I've always preferred a ball diff over a gear diff, but every year I'm in this, I get a little lazier. And the gear diff option.
I wonder, with the gear diffs on these, are you going to run into a situation where they're going to last longer than like with the A scales? I hear the A scales, everybody's rebuilding them every race.
It depends on what you're doing.
Everybody that's in the A main, it seems like, is
Oh.
rebuilding their diffs every race.
Every race weekend.
Every race weekend. If
Yes.
you were running one of these with
It's
a gear
under
diff,
a way
how long
different
is this gear
stress
diff gonna last?
situation, though.
I think it's a different deal because the cars are a lot lighter. They don't run for half an hour straight,
Yeah.
and they run usually in cleaner environments. So while it's not common for dirt to intrude in a gear diff on an 8 scale, it's a concern. Also, because they don't run for half an hour, they don't get hot.
Yep.
One thing that I've run into when I've tested gear diffs in two-wheel drive cars at MMR on Astro was after about 6 minutes of run time, the gear diff can get hot enough to affect the handling of the car
Okay.
radically. So that's the only concern I'd have running a gear diff, and that's a specialized circumstance. I will be testing that more when I get a 44.3 to see what that's like, because I would prefer to run gear diffs.
No.
But as far as the durability question, I don't think you're going to have to rebuild them every race day at all. I think you're going to be able to go a month or more of regular racing between rebuilds, as
No.
long as it stays sealed.
We had the RC8 at the same time when we were running the 555 fluid setup, and I went through my diffs after every race weekend like everybody else. But I don't know if you noticed this. The only one that really needed it was the center diff. My front and rear were always still pretty clear. The gears were still pretty good. The center was just black always.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's been a
just
while for me. It was been a while for me on that. But yeah, the center diff lives a really hard life in an 8 scale.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who lands on throttle a lot. So yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
But I think you're not going to see wear to that degree in the 10 scale cars with the gear diffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't
Well, that would
be
be
too worried about
if you
that.
could get to the point to where, you'd have a consistency with the gear diff. I think, and you could get to as good, if not better, wear. That would be very appealing. Then.
Also
Oh, yeah,
finding
for
the
sure.
correct fluid. Like,
All about the correct fluid.
well, the correct weight and brand.
Well, the
let's
brand's
say-
easy. Associated.
Associate, yeah, sure. But it's like, Traxxas 7,000 weight's gonna wear way faster than Associated 7,000 weight, and it's not gonna be as good. It's junk fluid.
Well,
Well, I wouldn't say junk, but you know what I mean.
well, I don't know. I think I think finding the correct viscosity is going to be the super critical part,
Yeah.
because that affects the car's handling dramatically. So
My guess is
we'll be
just-
messing around with that for a while to figure out what works.
You'll probably start seeing a good jump in setup sheets pretty soon that are going to have.
Yeah, and I think you'll see what these cars that what we saw with the 8 scales is you're gonna gravitate to one of 2 or 3 diff packages in general as far as what's in the front, what's in the center, what's in the rear.
Yep.
And that's to be expected. It's just a matter of what are those going to be.
Yep. But yeah, so anyways, 4-wheel modified getting really popular around Minnesota, which
Yes.
makes me happy.
Yes.
Always. So that brings us up to the next question. Kyle Holmberg said, with the popularity of 4-wheel drive modified on the rise, will that kill stadium truck? Now, first off, let me be very specific about something. You will never, ever kill a class. As much as you'd like to think a class is dead, it will come back around, whether it be 2 years
Go
or
gas
10
truck.
years. Gas trucks coming back.
No.
I would go to the Nitro Series.
Yeah. No,
Well,
there's a
The
company.
full weekends are rough, but
Yeah, there's a company.
Know what I mean?
Oh, now I forget the dude's name, but he's making conversion kits for like your RT6 and your newer Losies and what have you.
first run's 565.
565.
5,000 front,
Oh.
60,000 middle center, 5,000 rear.
That's for
Okay.
the B44.3. That's the instruction manual setup for the diffs.
Okay.
So anyway,
So, anyways,
stadium truck.
Stadium truck. Another thing is, you also have to remember, this is Minnesota.
So it may not die, but you may see. So what? 3-4 years ago, none of the real fast guys were running mod truck anymore,
Right.
No.
and you may get to that level again for a few years,
Yeah.
because a lot of those guys are seeing the new 4-wheelers come out, and there's just so many classes you can run.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be. Yeah. It's kind of a question of. Excuse me. How much time do you have on a race day to do stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that 3 classes on most race days is not much fun.
Yeah.
So if the guys that are running stadium truck right now really want to run 4-wheel, it is unlikely that they will add the class, they will substitute.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. I know some of those guys that run stadium truck really aren't going to run 4-wheel, so they'll probably
Yeah.
still continue to run stadium truck.
We're down to the B-Man stadium truck still in the SSES.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I'd love to see stock truck make a comeback, but that's a couple of years away still.
Stock racing in general is really hurting right now.
Yeah.
It's
It-
tough to do well.
It is. It's expensive. How much money
It's
have you
not
put?
expensive. That's wrong.
No, your initial. How much money have you put extra into your B5? I see J-Con tie rods. I see a milled out motor plate. I see MIP pucks. I bet you there's a Shell Nova slipper underneath that.
So even if I wasn't running stock, I would have the milled motor plate and the slipper, and
Okay.
the tie rods. The only difference is I am running the MIP stuff,
Yep.
and I have not run them back to back to tell you the difference, but it is significantly lighter rotating mass.
Yeah.
You would think that would be better.
Yeah.
So that is money. I don't
That's
think
$100.
I don't know that. I'm of the mindset that I don't know that made a big enough difference on the track that would be a problem. Now, batteries, speed controls,
Yeah.
motors, definitely that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And having good
You can't
quality
use
equipment to start with.
Well, in any kind of racing, you can't use 3 or 4 year crap, but
But I don't buy, I bought this battery.
yeah.
It's not like I'm going to replace that anytime soon. I have batteries that I bought 3 years ago.
Yeah. How much was that lightweight pack?
$48, I think.
Oh,
38.
jeez.
I got 2 of them for $78.
That's a killer deal.
So
My math says that's $39 a piece.
there you go, $39 a piece.
Yeah.
So they're not expensive.
But it's just that, the car out of the box comes out at 16 to 1630 for weight, depending on your speed controller or battery. Modified, it makes zero difference. Stock, 100 grams makes a difference.
So I agree a little bit. Again, the problem is I think the car handles better because of some of that weight at times
Exactly.
too. Because now we went out to trackside, and if you remember, Kevin ran the Centro at the time.
Mhm.
Andrew ran the Centro.
Mhm.
I ran the B4 because I was all concerned about the weight. I didn't want to buy the Centro because I didn't want to be heavier.
Yep.
They both kicked my ass.
Yeah. And Modified, before Mayfield left Associated, is on his setup sheets, it said weight 1620.
I think the weight does make a difference if
In
you can get the
stock.
setup right. If you can get the setup right at the lower weights.
Yeah.
I believe it absolutely is.
Yeah.
I ran in that same race you're talking about, Trackside Spectrum. I tried a square pack in my Central versus a shorty pack, and I like the car significantly better with a shorty.
Yep.
Less weight is better.
Yep.
If your car doesn't work well
But even
when it's
with the
light,
shorty, you were overweight.
yeah, the Central was heavy, but the car was it was noticeably better immediately when I put that pack in.
Mhm.
If your car doesn't work when it's light, change your setup, lighten your
Yep.
shocks, lighten your oil, go to larger hole pistons, and find what the car wants, because lighter is better.
Yep.
But to say that a stock class is, I think that a lot of people want to blame they don't run stock because of the money, and I think
Just the initial.
but it's the same initial if you're starting from blank.
I want to put that much into a mod car.
And by that much, what in there is more expensive than what you would have bought mod?
I'm just saying, the only thing I
The-
probably would have done mod is the tie rods, and that's it.
So again, you're going to weight. So you could have ran the rear motor, or you could have,
Yeah,
So,
that's
so again,
true.
the car comes heavy. I
Yeah.
understand that, but there are cars that are lighter than too. So maybe you buy
Yeah.
a lighter car.
That's true. Yeah, could buy a lighter
so
car.
again say that stock racing is more expensive, I don't think is.
In off-road, your motor battery scenario is not. It's important, but not as important as on-road, which is a good thing. I was just as fast with that RevTech you let me use, is a D35s. But I was missing squirt out of the corner. And I think that was because of a weight issue.
There is that aspect.
Not necessarily weight. The pucks. Every place I've read.
I was the only one that ran pucks.
Yeah, everywhere I've read, you
And
literally
look who
save.
won.
Yeah,
I was the only one that ran pucks.
You save it. Where I've been reading, and it's B5 Nation, so it could be complete BS. There's people running the gull wing arms upside down on there, so that's B5 Nation. But everybody says a tenth or two with the pucks, just changing to the pucks.
It's possible. I haven't run them back to back enough. I don't know from that aspect. Everything physically makes sense that it would be faster to run the pucks.
Yeah.
That's why I bought them.
Yep. So anyways, out of that, mod truck, it'll dwindle. You might not see it ran in a few races, but it'll never die. It's like people who say foam sedan's dead. No, it's not dead.
Huh.
Now I think what was it?
I just shudder to think what a mod foam sedan car would be like with a 3.5 in it.
Ah,
Oh.
dude, you just gave Dan Hammond an erection. That's exactly what he wants.
This program has been rated PG-13.
Yeah.
That would be frightening.
All Dan Hammond's been
I
saying
thought they stopped making foam tires.
for now.
Well, then who's running it?
Now, I've been hearing a rumor is they've been working on a spec foam tire very similar to the World GT style tire. You know, the stripe center, whatever. They've been working on it in a few places. I forget who's doing it. Double D was telling me all about it at Brandon's race last November. said they're working on it and they have more work to do, but they're trying to come out with a spec foam tire that's similar to the World GT situation.
I would say anybody who tries to resurrect foam sedan is going to have an issue trying to run a modern chassis, because the chassis now are geared for rubber tires and there's a lot of flex. You don't want that with foam tires. So
Oh, very true, but you can still, well, till, I don't know about this now, but up till 2013, you could get a foam chassis for an X-ray straight from Slovakia.
I think they stopped doing that now.
If they did, it was just last year, with the T4.
Because they had a foam version all the way up to like 2012.
Yeah, and then you could still get the chassis from Slovakia for the 13.
well, if anybody's going to run foam sedan, Minnesota's going to do it.
Yep, exactly.
We're the last ones to stop doing it. We'll probably be the first ones to pick it up again.
Exactly, but and again, you can never say anything is dead around here. 10 scale pan car took 10, 15 years for World GT to come around, but
We'll
it
see.
came back.
We will see.
Now, what was it, 3-4 years ago? I know we didn't run truck very much.
Nope.
And when we did run it, I think it was stock truck, not mod truck.
Up in Duluth, maybe.
No, even at Starbuck, I don't think there was a mod truck.
No, well,
That was the year I think Andrew ran it. I think it was just stock truck.
it's possible. Stock truck is very popular at MMR.
I don't think we had a mod truck class.
Okay. Yeah, it's possible. I ain't run it, so I don't know.
And I guess that was, and
Because we're all running short course like a bunch of... Yeah, we're running short course.
so
So that's why stadium truck was light. Now short course is getting light, and stadium truck is picking back up, at least in the Super Saturday Electric Series. Which, dude, I love truck.
well, I
love
hope
seeing
truck
it.
doesn't die. I just
No.
I don't know. I don't know that I believe necessarily that it will or won't, because I think people go based on releases from
Well,
the factory, and when you get Losi discontinuing theirs with no plans
Well,
of a new one.
Kyosho came out with the RT6
Yeah.
about the same time.
You know, it's the new releases, I think, that
Yep.
push people to get into cars.
Now,
They get
allegedly,
excited about them.
allegedly, there's a T5 coming in a year. Whatever.
Yeah, but with Losi discontinuing there, what reason do they have to come out with a new
Dude,
car?
this is B5 Nation talk. There's no validity unless you hear it come out of a team associated representative. But a lot of guys have been taking like B5s and making T5s their own version, which I think is pretty cool. I've heard there's some situations of them working well. Oh, what do you think, Marshall?
I think that I can see that nationwide people are starting to move away from truck again.
Yep.
I think we'll see that here too. I don't think it's going to go completely away. Depending on the uptake of guys with these new four-wheel drives, I think that will affect the size of the truck class.
Yep.
But again, like you said, I don't think it's going to go away. It just may dwindle.
Yeah. I mean, it's always fun just to throw it on a stadium truck and let it rip.
No, I love truck. It'd be exciting. It'd be neat to see more cars come out. It would be neat, to see a growing class. But if four wheels coming out, it's really hard when you drive a truck and then you go drive a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say between the two that you're going to pick the truck.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. If I have to choose two of the three classes I normally run, so 2-mod, 4-mod truck, if I have to choose two, it's going to be 2-wheel and 4-wheel.
Yeah.
But you get backwards guys like me who will drop 2-wheel buggy and run 4-wheel and truck.
That's because you're an X factor, Joe.
Yeah,
There's no accounting for your behavior.
Some would call me the exception to the rule.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, another thing was brought up, some D-bag liability issues happening in Ohio right now.
No, I didn't read this story fully. I only glanced at it real quick, but my understanding of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Somebody got injured at a track in Ohio, and they sued the track and attempted to sue them for more than the insurance coverage was for.
So-
Yep.
Is that correct?
He got hit by an ACE scale that a minor was driving.
Okay.
Now
And
that could
broke his arm.
be
Okay.
a little bit of an issue.
The guy had signed a waiver.
Yep.
Well,
So wherever the waiver is, I don't know how it worked. Yes, he sued for, I think the insurance covered the medical expenses, but he's suing for, who knows, pain and suffering or whatever
Yeah.
else on top of
Right.
it.
Okay.
So here's the thing with waivers that people need to realize. It was probably a waiver written out by Joe Schmo that works at the track saying you're entering at your own liability. Guess what? That's not going to hold up, buddy. You have to have a lawyer actually write out a waiver. Just a blanket waiver that you can use week to week, not every week, but a blanket waiver that covers every little thing. It's got to be a page or two long that you sign. Like when we go to ERX to watch beater cross races, full scale races, there's a page with a ton of signatures on it, but in front of that is a huge waiver saying, all the bad things that can happen to you, it's your fault for being here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a sad story to hear, but I can't say it's something that you would have never predicted. I've seen plenty of people get hit with 8 scales, and it's always scary.
It is.
They're heavy and they're fast, and they jump high. So, I don't know if this is kind of the beginning of the end for 8 scale racing. I kind of doubt it.
No.
But I hope at least that tracks will take a closer look at what their liability exposure is and do stuff to protect themselves against that, if anything. Because this is precisely the situation you're trying to avoid.
Exactly. Have you seen the video floating around online? And I commented under one of the copies of it on Facebook, saying the person is basically horrible for doing it, and is listed fastest pit ever seen. So the guy comes
Saw
into
that.
pit road full bore, jumps a whole pit road. One guy, while it's still in the air, brings it down to the ground. Another guy fuels it and lets it go.
Was this video put up like last weekend?
Yeah, something around there.
So that was a race at Thunder Alley.
Yep.
It's called the Sickest Challenge or something. And that particular race, there were only 3 truggies on the track, and everybody agreed ahead of time that they were going to clear the pits. Only the pit guys for the drivers are going to be down there,
Okay.
and it was understood that they were going to launch into the pits as part of the show.
I still want to. No, that's still too much.
Well, it's
I know.
something like that where it is very well controlled. Okay, fine, but
You don't know what's going on.
anywhere else you ever go race nitro, the first, if you launch
still-
into the pits like that, you're going to have 25 guys yelling at you, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I still couldn't let that. Like Hunter Holmberg accidentally at Rick's Hobby Farm came into the pits too hot, got a little bit of air, and we held him for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean,
As
it
it
wasn't
should be.
much, but this was. I saw this and I'm like, oh man.
You can tell that was intentional, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you
was
could tell it was
staged.
intentional and staged, but it still makes me squirm.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly
Maybe
the
it's the race
behavior that
director
you.
in me,
I-
or
I
I don't
think-
know what it is.
I think there needs to be a waiver at every single track we go to.
Yeah,
I
I
it's
think-
got to
believe
be
so.
a
And I think
legal
they need to have
waiver.
Well, that regardless of whether legal, whatever, I think at minimum every track should. And I have not signed a waiver yet since I started racing, but I think every single track should be forcing people to do that because
Yeah.
these kind of things where this guy decides he wants to be a dink and go out and sue for everything above and beyond, even though he's
Oh.
already getting the medical costs covered under the insurance policy. You're a racer. You were going there.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to hurt I mean, it's not like these guys are getting rich running an RC track.
When I hear the word lawsuit in anywhere in RC, it's very frustrating, especially when a racer's doing it to. Under one of the ridiculous threads on Facebook, somebody wrote, "Let's start a class action lawsuit against Trinity for the D35." and
Oh, jeez.
that guy got burned down real quick. But it's like the way people think nowadays is wrong. If you ever have the thought in your head that you're gonna sue somebody over something in the RC world, you need to quit. Period. You just shouldn't even show up to the track. I don't care what your attitude. I don't care if you can justify it to yourself. You're awful and you shouldn't be at the track.
Yeah, go watch MMA instead or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've had. I've sat there and heard the talk of lawsuits and this and that, and it's like,
It's sad. It takes one dink to ruin it for everybody.
it does.
Yep.
A whole track closed.
So, and
It's sad. I hope it doesn't become the norm. I don't think it will. I mean, because I've been doing this for over 25 years now, and I've only heard, this is one of really the only example I can think of where somebody is actually taking this to court and trying
Yeah.
to close the track down. So it's rare,
Yep.
but track owners,
How
think
successful is he?
think
That's
about
it.
your liability. Think about think about liability release forms. I'll gladly sign one. I'm
Yeah.
sure we all will, and try to add that little touch of professionalism and protection to all the stuff you're working so hard for.
And if you're looking for one, I would probably go play paintball somewhere and take a photo of that with your camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
And use that because they cover themselves pretty well. People lose their eyes and everything else.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a place to start. Genuine legal counsel is the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the best way to go.
Yes.
Yep.
For probably some reasonable fee, I would hope.
I would think you might be able to find one though, or something online, or even for a club race. You'd think they could go out of their way and get that taken care of.
Okay, when I used to BMX race, you had to be a member of the ABA.
So
And
this
there
is
was-
similar. I think Roar would have covered them. in this
That's what
scenario.
I'm sitting there thinking. If they were 100% under organization, they would have been covered by their liability insurance, but they also being a member at that to race at that track is basically, I don't know if it's the same with Roar. I haven't read the rules, but when you're in the ABA, if you get hurt, if you break your neck, you cannot sue the track. Being a member of the ABA covers the track's rear end, basically. And that is your waiver as being a member of that organization.
It's my understanding that Roar would have been very similar in this scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, it raises a bunch of other questions around requiring all of your customers to be Roar members and then having to follow Roar rules to some extent.
As a
It's
business
not as
owner,
hard.
it's harder to get people in.
It's not as
Right.
hard as you think, because Roar has the same thing. They have your weekend extra $10 or $15 pass or week-long deal. And then also it's $35 a year to be a member. Now, you're going to hear a lot of complaining about that $35 a year. But those same people complaining will pay that membership fee and they will show up at the track.
But
But
I think as a business owner, the risk is those ones that don't.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it is going to be a lot easier, I think, to get them to sign your own waiver.
Yeah,
than
that's
to
true.
Follow.
When you're having trouble getting $10 out of young Tanner to come down and run his SCT as it is,
Yep.
the extra 10 or 15 bucks even for a weekend Roar pass is kind of is a deal killer in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I suppose.
So it's and you're relying on a third party organization to cover you. So it's if I owned a track, I would be looking at my own coverage under my own terms.
Yeah.
And getting a lawyer to go over it with you.
Yep,
Tell them
exactly.
what you do there, what the risks are.
Yep.
Hey
And
guys,
talking to my insurance agent so that they understand what's going on, so we can get appropriate coverage and all that stuff.
Kevin Van Ert's a lawyer. You can talk to him. I'm sure for a fee he'd help you.
There's certain things that Kevin Van Ert, I think, does, and I don't think this is one of them.
But he's still a full-fledged lawyer and can draw something up.
Yeah,
It's
well,
kind of like how doctors
I
aren't
would,
surgeon,
I
but
would
they
go to
can
a
still
lawyer
cut
who
you open.
specifies in a certain area.
Yeah, I guess.
I think he deals more with the other end of it, the guy that broke his arm.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, it's a bummer that happens. Who's that guy? Neil Smith, I want to say.
I need more context. I think you're on the right track, but I need more context.
He got his ankle broken by a 10T at, I want to say, Max Models, or the original trackside that was in St. Paul.
Neil Smith's the guy then, yeah.
And
But I don't know the story.
he didn't sue. I don't even think the track paid for his medical bills.
Well, Neil came from a racing background as it was, and
Yeah.
he's a stand-up guy, so he understands all that. But not everybody's like that, so
Yeah, that's very true.
that's the problem.
Yeah, one thing that it kind of went away for him too. Insurance companies are sleazy too. I'm not going to go into too far in depth on this because I think it's disappeared, but I'm not sure. Jimmy Paulson sold a battery and charger to a kid. The kid burnt down his house with that battery and charger. The family's insurance company went after Jimmy's insurance, business insurance.
Okay.
That's deep as but it's like, what happened to personal responsibility? My boy sprained his ankle at my mom's house, and they wanted to go after my parents' homeowners, my medical insurance.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just awful. Insurance is just as awful as anything out there too.
And for the next 45 minutes, we're going to be solving the world's problems here on Ran Out of Talent.
Yeah.
All right, so what's next?
So what's next is previews of racing. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. This coming up weekend, we got the MNRC race in Duluth. Remember, it's not only nitro, we run electric classes too. Track should be dialed for that. The weekend after, August 23rd, is our SSCS rain makeup at Rick's Hobby Farm. We're going to calcium the track. That worked very well for the MNRC. That we're not going to get that good of a groove, but we got a wicked groove for the nitro.
Bring blue compound J-Con tires.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Well,
Soft and super soft.
Yeah.
AKA.
yeah. Well, last year when we were at Rick's, it stayed pretty well dust free, but that's only because we had 50-mile-an-hour crosswinds on the track.
There's that.
Hopefully you don't see that.
No, it was 40 degrees out with heavy winds. It snowed for about 30 seconds.
It'd be interesting to see if with the A scales, 4-wheel drives, more tires, more cars, if you guys
Yep.
get a groove.
Oh, they will.
They will.
Yeah.
So
And then,
No
so yeah,
question.
the 23rd's SSES race. Labor Day weekend's the Iowa race. Now, the one, honestly, I'm more interested in promoting is there's going to be a Sean Neary Memorial Race at Lucky 13 Raceway in Osseo, Wisconsin, which is about 2 hours away from the city. Is Wayne say 2 hours?
Yeah, that's what Google Maps told me. 2
So you
hours,
could
almost
probably cut
exactly from
20
Brooklyn
minutes
Park.
off.
Depending on how much you want to risk getting pulled over in Wisconsin with a speeding ticket.
That's true. Yeah.
I'd rather not.
You have bad luck in Minnesota.
No, not really. I have bad luck in Foley,
Yeah, Foley, yeah, exactly.
but the rest of the state, it seems to be fine.
But that's going to be a dual race day. So what that's going to be, that's a weekend after Labor Day. Saturday, Friday's going to be practice. Saturday is going to be one full race day in its own. Sunday is going to be one full race day in its own with, qualifiers and mains. But Sunday's going to be the race day with trophies and door prizes and whatnot. So that's going to be
So Sunday's the actual race.
Sunday is the hardware race, but
Sunday's the bigger of the two programs.
yeah, I'm going both days personally, but
I'm looking forward to going out there. It's a track run by Scotty Shettle. He's a dirt track oval racer of full-size cars out of Wisconsin. My understanding is he's relatively new to RC, but he's gotten pretty good at it, and he's a good guy. I've met him before.
Yep.
Really good guy. He gets it. He just kind of gets life in general, and it sounds like his track is very good. He's been working hard to improve it.
No compound inside the track.
Excellent. It's a clay track, so
Yep.
bring your clay tires, and it should be really good. I'm really looking forward to getting over there.
From what I hear, every week he improves the track and the atmosphere tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
Like pit tables, painting, adding an actual door to the building. The clay's good. He messes with the layout, doing this and that, different packing techniques.
Mm-hmm.
He's working his butt off and he's enjoying it.
Yep.
Also, if you get a little out of hand, he will sick the goat on you.
Oh, he's got to go.
Oh, he's got to go.
Cool.
Yeah. That'll be kind of interesting, the people that are setting up campers there, staying overnight, that have been drinking a little bit. It's kind of interesting to see what happened with them and the goat just destroying them.
So it'll be like an MNRC race, but with a goat.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. No, but it's for a good cause. A great portion of the entry fees are going to the Neary family.
Yep.
For those of you who haven't been around, Sean Neary was one of the good guys that came to the track. Awesome racer, just a fun guy to have at the track. Lost his life January of '09 in a car wreck.
Yep.
But yeah, there used to be a memorial race at North Branch, and that kind of fizzled out. So Scotty Shuttle's trying to build a big one. So come out for that one.
Yep. It'll be worth the trip, and you're helping out a really good family.
Yeah.
Yeah. We still miss Sean, and his kids are growing up, and there's a chance to help them out and be part of a fun and good thing.
Yeah, it will be a fun weekend. It's just got the whole area is just atmosphere for just fun, and I don't think it'll get that stupid seriousness that kind of destroys a weekend for a lot of people.
What do you mean?
No, we're not talking about you guys. So yeah, let me just double check. Yep, no extra questions on Facebook. So, you want to wrap this one up?
Yes.
All right. I'm Joe Zer Jr.
This is Greg.
This is Marshall.
And we ran out of talent. Till next time.
See ya.